We do this weekly, usually around noon. I'm actually a little bit later. You gotta love that. That's my Google Assistant here going off. Um, so starting a little bit late today, and what we're going to start off with is a little bit about productivity and how a blackout can actually kind of screw with that. So where I live, Monday night around 9:30 ish at night, the lights went out. Completely dark. I live in a semi-rural area. It was kind of funny. The utility didn't even realize the lights were out until people started to say, "Hey, the lights are out," kind of thing. Um, and it took a minute for it to come back and stuff. And it's not that I do a lot of work in the evening. After 9 o'clock, I try to put some boundaries up and say, "Hey, this is Carl time, and this is my time to relax, unwind." I've even talked to my wife about that and said, "Hey, heavy conversations and stuff about business and stuff like that. We need to keep it short and stuff like that, because really what I'm trying to do is trying to declutter my mind, try to get in a headspace, getting ready for sleep, for rest, and then I guess the best way to put it is, get ready to have that restorative rest. But I do, before I go to bed, go look at my calendar, go look at um, kind of what I have going on for tomorrow, and also if there was any emails or anything that kind of came up after I kind of shut down and start to cook dinner and get ready for the evening. Like I said, I try to hold business hours. I try to hold some boundaries there, and sometimes it's really difficult when you're kind of doing your own thing. But that's my usual evening routine, and the blackout just kind of blew that up. But it's the blackout is just an example of how we can get derailed off of our regular routines of things to do, and especially now, you know after the pandemic, and a lot of people are still working, um, still working remote, or still working um, kind of a modified work from home schedule, um, which is, I think, somewhere around 40%. I think I did that in one of the last streams. But it's significant. So, having a blackout or having disruptions can really kill a person's productivity and kind of throw you off base. For me, how I get back on track is something very simple. I take a pause, take a second, and say, okay, what kind of happened? So how did I kind of get off track? And I start to look at my list of things that I've wanted to accomplish, and I start to reprioritize. I start to think about, okay, you know what? I can't I can't fix what I didn't do. The only thing I can do is pick up and realize that I have some work to do. I need to kind of get moving again. So I look at my list and I start to prioritize and say, hey, this is kind of what I need to get accomplished. And then I start to, put timers on, and I start to say, okay, I'm going to have a focus time working on this one thing, and then go from there. And it's kind of funny, it kind of gets you in there. Now, again, I have, like most of you, have a lot of distractions in my life. I do work from home. You can see my background here, um, kind of where I work. But I have a 9-year-old dog that who wants attention, and we did a great job in training him and doing all those things. And when he needs to go, he lets you know, and he will not stop until his needs are met, which is kind of great. Because again, I can count on one hand the number of accidents he's had in the house in almost 9 years. Um, but it's very easy to get off track. So the one thing I will say to you to kind of, make sure you keep your productivity up and get your things accomplished, um, is a to make a list, and every morning and when you start to work, lay out what your priorities are for the day. Um, then from that list of probably a laundry list of priorities and things you want to do, highlight what the top 3 things are that you need to get done. End of story, dead stop, these need to get done or else kind of thing. And the reason I say pick 3 is because if you do more than 3, fantastic, but the likelihood of you getting 3 things done and getting them done completely and the way you need to get them done, it's a manageable number. Again, we have goals and then we have stretch goals kind of thing. Uh, after you go and after you have your list and everything, if you get distracted, if you get off topic, phone rings, you know, people come in and start to bug you about things, emergency meetings, something blows up at work, you can always refer back to your list and refer back to, okay, these were the things I said I needed to get done. And then because you're actually doing that stuff and you're saying, okay, these are the things I need to get done. And anything else past that is gravy. It's a bonus. It works really well to manage stress, manage anxiety, manage all the things that kind of come up in your day. Realize you're not going to get everything done on your list. Now, for me, the blackout put a little bit of a monkey wrench in there. I needed to work ahead because yesterday we had a family birthday, a family event, and I was out of the office all day yesterday. So I wanted to work ahead. So that kind of prevented me from doing that. It meant that I am now behind on the work that I need to do. And what I did this morning is figure out, okay, what are the things I need to get done? And one of the things I need to get done was I needed to do this live stream. I've made a commitment to myself. I've made a commitment to kind of the things I want to do and said, okay, this is important. So this is my first check mark of the day. I've gone and have now checked that off and said, okay, I've done my live stream. And you know, later on I will work on breaking this down for podcast. Some of the other things I need to get done today is I'm working on a course and I'm behind on getting the course finished and getting some of the materials out there and stuff. I've got it 80% done, but I need to get that final 20% done uh, because I have, again, next week, I have other things that are important. Um, I have clients that I need to follow up with because, again, I was out of the office yesterday and technology is great. And, I saw one of my clients pop up and said, hey, how do I handle something? And I'm sitting at lunch at Five Guys and I'm typing out my answer and stuff. But again, I kind of parceled off and I knew that these things might come up. Um, but now I have to play a little bit of catch up. So again, I've made my list today and I'm going to follow that list and I'll get my 3 things done, maybe 4 or 5 things. I'm feeling very productive today. Um, but you need a starting point, you need an end point, and you need to work your list. And again, a blackout or family needs or different things can kind of throw a monkey wrench in your productivity of the day. The only thing that you can do is to say, okay, I can't, I can't go back in time. I can't change something in the past. The only thing I can do is I can change the way I'm going to go forward and how I'm going to react to this now. So again, make sure you keep your productivity up and do that. The other thing is right before I got on the live stream today, I was reading on CNN and I like always to check the news and check out what's kind of going on. And I actually saw that Sinead O'Connor died. And there was no reason or anything there, but I was actually a little surprised because she and I are similar age, within a year or two of each other. and somebody's whose music I listened to and all that. So I was really, really surprised to see that she had passed on. So my condolences to her family, and again, really sad news on that front. Now let's talk about the meat and potatoes of kind of what we want to talk about today, and it is about the blog post that just went live, and it should be up and going now. It should be also posted on LinkedIn and some of the other social media outlets as well. And it's the importance of self leadership in career progression. And I really thought that this was a really important topic to talk about. Um, Partly because a lot of times people believe that there's this master plan for their career, and they have no control over it, and they have, they need to take it as it comes, kind of thing. And the truth of the matter is that's not the case. And you know, I think the main thing that people need to realize, and that you need to realize, is that you have some control over your career. You have some control over how you show up in the day, and it kind of feeds into the productivity part of it as well, as I mentioned earlier. But there is a certain responsibility and a certain thing that you can do in regards to self leadership and how you show up, and how your career progresses, and how you're seen by your employer or potential employers. And so let's get into a little bit more of the meat and potatoes of this. You got to understand that today, it is a very competitive job market. As much as we'd like to say that there are plenty of jobs, and unemployment is at historic lows, and everything like that, uh, I can't tell you how many times I hear from my HR colleagues, we just can't find people. Now, part of it is of our own doing. Part of it is of the managers and the supervisors not having reasonable expectations, or somebody had left and they had been there for a number of years and they've taken on additional responsibilities, and now they've left, and they've left this gaping hole. And you know, as much as like I said, we say, oh, the job market is robust and everything, you know, employers are still picky. They want what they want, kind of thing. Now, when it comes to self leadership and everything, the way you show up in your career and how you guide your career is important. And a lot of times, we don't guide our career. We just kind of take it as we come. Um, in certain organizations, especially more of the legacy type of companies and stuff like that, I had worked for one in the past, and the way you kind of moved up and around and all that stuff is, you'd be working hard and you'd be doing your job, and all of a sudden someone would tap you on the shoulder and saying, hey, we have a great opportunity for you. We've been talking about you, and we really need you to work over there and to do this. So congratulations, you've been promoted. You're going to have additional responsibilities. You're going to maybe get some more pay. Sometimes not. We're just changing your the scope of your job that you're doing. And congratulations, right? And even a change in scope is great because you're putting more tools in your toolbox, kind of thing. But the truth of the matter is, 9 times out of 10, companies, organizations, managers don't have a plan for you. And it's important for you to set some goals, to set some parameters on where you would like to your career to go, and what kind of development you need to kind of get there. Now, if you have a desire to become a leader, it may be, a discussion that you have with your manager, and you say, "Hey, I'd like to become a boss at some point." Excuse me, I'm gonna take a sip of the coffee too. And you know, you need to have those discussions. So let's start about some of the things that you need to do to do that. And it kind of, again, it comes full circle. The first is, you need to set some goals, and you need to make a plan. You need to set some goals for yourself, figure out what they are, and then a way that you want to achieve them. Is it more training? Is it something that you need? You have a skills deficiency of. Is it something different than what you're currently doing? And if it is something totally different than what you're doing, you most likely will need to get some additional skills, but you also need to be able to identify the skills you currently have and how you could leverage those skills into what you want to do now. We call those transferable skills. Uh, you need to be able to know what they are, you need to be able to articulate them, and you need to be able to articulate them in a way that it makes sense for a potential employer, a potential manager, for the organization you're working in to say, yeah, yeah, this makes total sense. So again, you need to set some goals and make a plan on what you want to achieve and how you're going to get there. The next thing is you need to take some responsibility for your own success. Now, this may sound a little harsh and stuff like that. But again, a lot of times we just kind of roll up, we go to work, we show up, we do our job, and then we roll on out. And unfortunately, if you want your career to move forward, if you want it to progress and to do those things, you can't do that. So you need to take some responsibility for your own success and kind of what that is. So don't wait for somebody to tell you, oh, to do this. Don't wait for somebody to say, oh, you know, we're going to move you here. Part of the thing on taking responsibility for your own success is to look at and identify areas where you can add value and then go after that. Have a discussion with your manager and saying, hey, I've seen a gap in this. I'd like to work on this and get buy in from them. Those kind of traits and those kind of activities get you noticed in an organization. Those are the kinds of things that managers say, hmm, this person really is a go getter. This person really wants to progress in their career. I could see them, and they start to visualize where they can see you, not just where you visualize, but they become a partner in that and they become an advocate. Okay. The other thing is you need to be adaptable and you need to be resilient. Okay. Things in workplaces change and they change on a dime. Sometimes it has to do with economic situations where the business has changed and they need to move things around and move pieces. The more adaptable you are and the more skills you have in that toolbox, in that skill toolbox, makes it a little bit easier for you to kind of move around and kind of be where you need to be. You know, it's the ability honestly to see where there's opportunities and an opportunity for change and to be able to step into that. Now I understand this is some really scary stuff. Uh, but if you do these kinds of things and you step into those opportunities and you're adaptable and you're resilient and you take responsibility for your success, it makes a world of difference. Okay. The other thing is you need to be positive and you need motivation. You need to be motivated. If you walk in with a positive can do attitude, you have a strong work ethic, you know, those are some of the things that are essential for self leadership because you have that confidence in yourself that whatever gets tossed your way, you'll be able to do it. Or if you don't know how to do it, you'll be able to figure it out. Again, employers want people who can solve problems because any company you go to, as well run as they are, there's always problems that come up. So if you can be that problem solver and you can be those things, you actually have some autonomy in how your career can go and how you can guide it. Again, self leadership in your career. The other thing that's really important is you can't do any of this stuff in a vacuum. Now, I'm all for having great self confidence and believe, you can do anything and do all those things. But the other thing that you also need is you need some a reality check, would be a good way to put it. And you need to go and you need to get some feedback from people. And you need to go and get feedback from people who honestly will tell you the truth. And unfortunately, a lot of times we want to surround ourselves with people that will tell us nice things and be supportive and be all those things. And that's all great stuff. But really, if you want to take your career to the next level, you need to find people who can give you constructive feedback on your on how you are productive, how you perform in the workplace and do those things, and give you that constructive feedback, not to tear you down, but to actually lift you up, to raise your game. Again, a lot of times we can very easily go and we can identify the things we're good at. Now think about when you go for an interview and you start to think, "Oh, I've got this interview," right? Typically, one of the questions, and we talked about this, I think it was last week or the week before, top 5 questions that get asked in interviews, and one of them is, "Well, tell me about your strengths." And, we feel real comfortable in telling you people what we're good at. But then the flip side of it, and the question that usually gets the follow-up question is, "Tell me about your weaknesses." And then we struggle because, again, we don't wanna put out what we're not necessarily good at because we don't wanna sink our chances at this opportunity. But the thing is, if you're able to identify and if you're able to get feedback on the things not only you're good at, but also the things you need to improve, those are things that you can start to work on. And in certain cases, you can actually, when if you ever get asked that question, you can say, hey, this is something that's a weakness of mine, but I've identified it. Here's some of the things I'm doing to mitigate it. And so far it's been really successful. Thumbs up. Uh, but the other thing is, besides getting feedback, some of it may be outlining some of the things that you need to do to get to the next level. And usually, a good person to talk to is somebody who is maybe your supervisor or manager, or somebody that you trust that can act as a mentor. And we don't talk about mentorship a lot here in the United States, but the truth of the matter is, mentorship is really a very powerful tool in growing your skills and getting you to that next level, because your mentors, and a lot of times, are in positions of higher level and they can be advocates for you. So get that feedback, get that information, figure out what you need to do, and then get support for it. And then finally, the other thing is you need to be patient and persistent. Now, patience, I will tell you, I have historically not been a very patient person. I want things to go in a certain way, and this is the way they need to go, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make it happen. That make it happen kind of attitude and stuff. And you have to understand there are gonna be setbacks. There are gonna be timetables that are not gonna fit to your timetable. And the truth of the matter is that's okay. Every organization has timetables. It may not fit. So understand that, and understand that you need to be patient with that. But the truth of the matter is, if something is not working, not only do you need to be patient, but you need to be persistent. You need to look at ways that you can continually get better, things that you can do, things you can start to tweak and move and do that. Those are all the attributes of self leadership. Now, one of the things that I do with my clients is I actually help them with self leadership and figuring out what their career is going to look like and doing those things. One of the things I love doing is working with clients and then figuring out specifically, especially when they get new positions, specifically figuring out what the company's pain points are and how my clients can fill that void and do it in a really quick way. Because I want their new employers to realize what a superstar they have and that, they're ready to go. So again, some of the things from a self-leadership standpoint that you need to do is you need to set goals and you need to make plans. You need to take responsibility for your own success. Don't wait for people to make it happen for you. Because very rarely do organizations have plans for every single person in the organization. So you need to take control. You need to be adaptable and resilient because there may be opportunities that are coming your way that may not exactly fit, but it's tools in your toolbox. Okay. The other thing is you need to remain positive and motivated and be ready for opportunities as they come. The other thing, again, get feedback. Understand where you're strong at, understand the things that you're not so strong at. And then this way you can work to bettering your skills on the things that you're not so strong at. And then be also to lean into the things that you are. Okay. The other thing is you need to be patient and you need to be persistent. So that's kind of doing us for this week's episode and everything. Um, Again, I want to thank everyone, uh, kind of, you know, who's been tuning in either live or on, coming back later and doing that. The other thing is if you're looking for help and you need some additional help in your career and stuff like that, again, feel free to book an informational meeting just to find out the things that I do and the things that I can maybe help you with, kind of get past that hurdle. Um, the other thing is I have a master class out there. It's the three things you can do to prepare for a job change. So if you're looking to make a change yourself, things you need to do to kind of get ready for that. The other thing is there are layoffs that are going on. And if you're kind of getting a whiff of something happening, maybe don't wait for it to happen. Get prepared now, get ahead of the curve. And in this masterclass, I talk about, um, again, this was originally a webinar that I've repurposed because the information was just so good. Um, the things you can do now to kind of get ready for a possible change and to do that. And again, that big project that I've been working on has been the hiring season essentials. And again, the hiring season essentials uh, is almost complete. The first two modules are up and going. The third one is almost ready to go and should be out there by the beginning of next week. So again, if you're looking to up your game in your resume, figure out a strategy on how to get that next position and how to get it efficiently and shorten the time to hire, this is the thing. If you historically struggle with interviews, this is what you need. So scan the QR code, it'll take you to a page, it'll give you more information about it. And again, I want to thank everyone. Our time is up for today. And again, have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Bye.